and welcome back to this apparent sunny episode of Struggling Filmmakers. We've had a slight break due to schedules and COVID, but we are back. My name is Emma. Joined me again is Jimmy.
I'm back.
James.
I am also back.
And Noah Harvey.
I'll be back.
And this week it's very exciting. We're coming back with a bang. It's Shark Week, baby. So we are talking all things sharks and shark film. Does anyone have any recommendations this week?
I watched so much. I watched classics like Heat. Heat's a good film. Collateral's a good film. Halloween's a good film. For a Few Dollars More is a good film.
Oh,
Joint Security Area is a good film.
Is it?
Part-Time Work. The Yakuza films. Battles Without Honor and Humanity. That's a good film.
the Yakuza Papers.
And I watched Michael Haneke's Hidden or
Oh,
Cache. That's a
Cache.
good film.
Cache's good.
And yeah, the list goes on.
I don't know if any of you've seen. I mean, normally we don't talk about Amazon Prime because some of us think it's trash. However, on Amazon Prime, Clarkson's Farm. Has anybody seen that?
I've heard it's really good, but not watched it.
I actually thought it was amazing. It wasn't what I expected it to be at all. You know, when you hear about Jeremy Clarkson, it's either like satire or it's cars. This is kind of a bit different, and it's a definite good look at agriculture in the UK, which doesn't really ever get its place on the film or TV industry, which is funny because, you know, it's quite a big industry in the UK.
For the first time ever, I sat down, I watched Top Gun, and I loved it.
Oh my God, do you know what? So I sat and watched Top Gun as well. And do you know what the soundtrack, it's like that one song.
Oh my God, there's like two songs that they keep repeating again
And
and
it just
again.
goes over. And like, you don't even need to be in the room to know as soon as you hear that music, oh, we're listening to Top Gun, are we?
Oh my God, it's so good. I love it.
You, the real question, are you going to go and see the follow-up?
Yeah, there it is. You've got the soundtrack.
What is wrong with you people?
I had no interest in watching the new one, Top Gun Maverick, and now I'm all for it.
I watched Brotherhood of the Wolf. Way too long, but surprisingly really solid film. Extremely cinematic, heavily inspired by The Matrix, obviously, but really compelling story, fantastic acting, and some fantastic action sequences. Well worth a watch. About 5 times better than it has any right to be.
None of us have picked Jaws because we were going to talk about it as an overall, because I think like Jaws cannot be argued that it isn't the fatherhood of shark films. It like released the whole genre really. So let's talk about it.
I can tell you all the differences from the book, like the town's ruled by the mafia. Hooper dies because he's having an affair with Brody's wife, and the shark just dies at the end. It doesn't get blown up. It's swimming towards Brody and it dies. It falls over. It's the accumulated damage from like all through the film, like Brody stabbing it a little bit, all through the book. Sorry to say, Brody stabs it a bit, and
it is quite a resilient shark in the film.
Am I right in saying Brody shoots it about 4 or 5 times? Yeah.
Well, because at some point they think, oh, it's dead. Let's all go back in the water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they catch the other shark even before they get on the boat. Towards the end, they catch the. He's like, "What kind of shark is that?" And he's like, "Tiger shark." And the guy goes, "Where?
A what?
Where?
He goes, "Where?
A what?"
Got a fantastic dolly zoom in the film.
Yeah,
which,
the iconic zoom.
It's probably the first notable mainstream Hollywood dolly zoom since Alfred Hitchcock. He was really inspired by Hitchcock, and I think it shows probably most in this film, probably this and Jewel. He took a lot of the suspense of the whole film, somewhat the characters, the internal struggle as much as the sort of man versus nature thing. I think he was clearly a big fan of.
You don't see the shark till quite late on, do we?
You don't need to see the shark until later on. It does all the work without even being on screen.
There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it.
Yeah,
I think this film.
Classic Hitchcock thing about the bomb under the table, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Got to mention Robert Shaw as well. What a performance!
Yeah, of course.
I've spoken on air about the funny deleted scene before, haven't I? Where Quint goes to a music shop to get some piano wire because it's the only thing strong enough to hunt sharks with. It's fishing wire, and he goes in and this kid's on a bassoon or something trying to play. I think it's Beethoven.
Yeah.
And Quint's behind, and he's like, ba ba ba. He's trying to like encourage it, and then he just starts going like, ba 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 ba. It's bizarre. I don't know what it's meant to say about Quint.
What is the relevance of that? Yeah.
Jaws was definitely like worth us mentioning at the start because we wouldn't have any of these films without Jaws.
It spawned several genres. I mean, it spawned shark films, but it also just mainly spawned like man versus nature, didn't it?
Putting out a disclaimer, shark films, apart from Jaws, the genre as a whole doesn't have a great rap. I think that's fair to say. A lot of the films aren't great. However, I think they are entertaining. For some people, that does make it a great film. So I think it's a matter of opinion, but shark films generally lack a little bit of story and imagination, but they could be a good, fun sit-down watch, which is why we're discussing them today. Yeah, so who would like to go first? I think maybe we should start with something that was a bit different and go for James's pick.
Yeah,
Probably quite
I recommend that. For this week, we're talking about shark films, and they have a specific like criteria that they fit into. You know, I was going to watch all of the various two-headed shark, three-headed shark films, and I got halfway through the first one and thought, I don't think I can do this. And so I gave up, and I went for something that it kind of fits the criteria by like that much because it's about sharks. So I picked Shark Tale, of course, everyone's favorite animated film. When I was younger, back in my youth, when I was a little boy watching animated films on DVDs, I usually take the time to just rewatch the films because there was nothing else better to do. And I would just scour these films over and over again, regardless of quality, because when you're a kid, you don't know what's good or bad. Everything's good because you're watching it. So when people recently have been like, oh, Shark Tale's not that good, I'm like, hey, Shark Tale's good. I remember watching that film. I thought it was good. And so today, as a recording, I went and tried to rewatch Shark Tale. Emphasis on tried, because whoa, it's bad. There's so much about Shark Tale that is just annoying. It annoyed me so much. This is probably the only time I've hated Will Smith in a film. Like, he's got so much charisma in everything he does, but when you put him behind like a weird CGI fish version of himself, like all of that goes away.
I don't think you're supposed to like him as a character.
He's the main character.
That doesn't mean you're supposed to like him.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're meant to like them.
Take The Great Gatsby. You're not supposed to like Gatsby.
Don't compare Shark Tale to The Great Gatsby, please.
Both
Don't
equally
start
You're
this
not
trend.
supposed to like Henry Hill.
Michael Corleone. It generally is a screenwriting rule: write a protagonist who the audience like,
But,
particularly if it's a kid film.
You're supposed like he's a sellout. Nobody likes a sellout. Like you're not supposed to like
Exactly,
him.
but like that means every time he comes in this on screen, I just want to just skip his bits, in which I did. Every time I was just like, I'll just fast forward through the Will Smith bit to get to the shark bits.
For those of us, James, who it's been about 15 years, could you remind us what plot there is of Shark Tale?
Right, okay. The best I can describe it is underwater there is like a fish version in New York, and there are mafia sharks who kind of run the fish New York. And in the film, like Robert De Niro's shark is like the head of it, and then he has like two sons, one of them played by Jack Black and the other one played by Michael Imperioli, who plays Chris Moltisanti in The Sopranos. So Jack Black shark is apparently a vegetarian, so he won't go into like the shark mafia life. And what is going on in this film? I'm trying to remember. I haven't even brought up Will Smith fish. He works at like a car wash, and he like owes money to Martin Scorsese pufferfish, who is actually Martin Scorsese, because he works for him, and then he bets all of his money on like a seahorse race, and he loses, and then they take him out to kill him, these two jellyfish, but then he's saved by Jack Black, and then Jack Black has to act like a dolphin. And then everyone thinks that Will Smith fish killed the shark, which is Chris Moltisanti shark. And then it's all about like white lie. I remember the tagline. It's like, oh, it's like a great white lie because it's a great white.
That was not the tagline.
I think
No,
it was something
actually,
very
it's
similar to
behind
that.
every little fish is a
It's
great white lie.
There you go. That's it, Noah. I do think the mob aspect of this film, as weird as it is, having like Robert De Niro and like Michael Imperioli and Martin Scorsese, Vincent Pastore's in this film, who's also in The Sopranos.
Sorry, Peter Falk's in this as well.
Peter Falk, Columbo himself.
No.
That should have been the whole film, because it's got the conflict of Jack Black not wanting to, go into the family life there. And I thought, like, this is actually quite good. I thought it's quite funny. And then a whole HQ was on like the sunken Titanic, so you got like loads of references to the film, and I thought that was quite funny.
The little shrimp as well.
Yeah, the little shrimp who like begs for his life, trying not to be killed. I like the fact that they're doing like a take. It's a very bad take, but they're doing a take on like the mob film, but for kids, and I think that's kind of funny.
It's DreamWorks, isn't it?
It's early DreamWorks, so it's ugly. It looks so bad.
Is it trying to do for mafia films what Shrek did for fairy tale films?
No, because half the film isn't even a mob film. That's like
you're right.
Stuff.
That's
like all the villainy kind of stuff is like there, but like you're focusing on Will Smith doing his old shtick.
It's one of those like teacher lesson films. Like, you know, it basically this whole story is you should be happy with what you got.
And don't lie
about killing sharks,
or you'll get killed by the mafia.
Got Hans Zimmer as the composer.
Is it actually? Oh my god, Hans, what you doing?
You're joking.
We like Hans.
I've just read that Hans Zimmer's the.
It's got a very dated soundtrack as well. I remember very specific.
At the car wash.
Yeah, that.
Whoa.
I feel like Shark Tale is one of those films which you look back on it as a film you watched as a kid and be like, oh, that was good, but it's not. It's not that good. It's a film with good bits in it that unfortunately has not stuck the test of time like other films such as Shrek, which is a bit more, consistent and well written. This is the point where I'd say go watch Shark Tale, but don't watch Shark Tale. You're not really missing a whole lot. It's not great. Even at like under 90 minutes, you could be watching better films.
So moving away from Shark Tale and the more left field pick, I've gone for like a proper shark film, I suppose you can call it. It's sort of two films. They're sequels, but they're not related sequels at all. So the first film was released in 2017. It's just 47 meters down. Claire Holt, Mandy Moore, and they basically are on a holiday in Mexico. They're sisters. They're like, oh, should we do something daring? And one sister's like, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit scared. So the other sister's like, don't be so scared. Let's go shark diving. And she's like, okay. The cage breaks and then they sink all the way to the bottom of the floor, hence 47 meters down. They're like panicking and whatnot, and they get surrounded by sharks, all that sort of thing, and bad things happen, blah blah blah. Basically, they had a 5 million budget for that, and it made 62 million. The two of them then got granted the opportunity to go and make a sequel. So the sequel is called 47 meters down uncaged. So they've just whacked uncaged on the end, and it came out in 2019. They got a bit of a bigger budget this time. They got 12 million compared to the 5 million before. Basically, it's a group of these girls. One of them is being like bullied at school. They go diving in this like really scenic place, and it's like so beautiful. The main character's dad is an architect underwater for like this new Mayan city that they found. And one of the girls is like, hey, why don't we go scuba diving to the Mayan city? We'll just go through the tunnel and come back out. Instantly, we know that's not going to happen. So they go in. There's a collapse that closes the tunnel exit. And what's in the Mayan city with them? A blind shark.
Mayan sharks.
Wait, did you say a blind shark?
Yeah, so because of the darkness, it's been like adapted, and it's like an albino blind shark. So it's got like super good like hearing. So then a few of them get eaten, and it's left with the two stepsisters, and it's like a commentary on like, sister relationships and blah blah blah.
And do the two sisters, do they end up very chummy at the end?
I mean, they're very traumatized.
Oh.
So the film actually received mixed reviews. It got a lot of praise for its acting, which fair enough, and the suspense in the film, which I can see because it is quite well like balanced in terms of that. However, as most shark films do, received criticism over the CGI and the lack of actual scariness, because it describes itself as a survival horror, and the horror like jumpy aspects aren't really there. But it grossed 46.1 million. So it still made a profit, and overall the two films have made over 100 million gross worldwide. I think they're all right films. They're not like amazing films like Jaws, but they're all right to sit down and watch. I think the first film, I'd say the second film was better than the first film, because I think the first film very much is one location at the bottom of the ocean in a cage, and you can kind of see where it's going, whereas this one it's there's a lot more visually there because we're going around this Mayan city, and there's a little bit more story and interaction between the characters.
The second one sounds quite cool. It sounds like a shark slasher film with a bunch of teenagers being picked up one by one. It's like Friday the Sharkteenth.
That's not even a.
That was funny.
You can do better.
Thank you, Emma.
It's not even a play on words.
I have a question. This is just more in general, but I feel like it applies to your film as well. It's very difficult to do something that hasn't already been done. Because obviously you bring up Jaws, and Jaws is just like, oh, Jaws is like the gold standard for this thing. Many shark films, it's just like, you go in the water, shark kills some people, you kill the shark. Jobs are good. How much can you do to a shark film to make it stand out?
You're right, James. This is the number one problem with shark films. That's why none of the Jaws sequels, apart from Jaws 2, are very good. Because Jaws 2 does exactly what this does, Emma. It takes the first one, which has this sort of more confined setting, and it goes, let's make this a slasher film. And it kind of works for it. Any film with a killer shark, the more serious it is, the more of a weakness, unless you're Jaws, that's going to be. I think you have to lean into the tropes and the campiness almost.
I mean, everyone knows I love shark films, but like my favorite thing about shark films is you've either had a stressful day, or you want to unwind, or it's just Saturday weekend watching, and you don't feel like watching anything challenge. You stick on a shark film.
And to be honest, it's rare to get a shark film with a $12 million budget. Most of them, like we said earlier, are sci-fi, $5 in a packet of crisps budget sort of thing. So interesting.
For Shark Week, I picked The Meg. Is it a shark? I guess technically it is.
It is 100% a shark.
Technically one of those. What do you want to call it?
It's a megalodon, which is a species of shark.
Okay, and The Meg came out a few years back. I do believe it was 2018. A group of people, the main character being the one, the only, Jason Statham. But basically, he's a bit like your classic rogue sort of guy. It opens with they're on this boat and it explodes, and he didn't go back and save them all. And now he's living it out in Thailand, I think, drinking a lot. But they want to get him back for this mission or something like that. A big company, and they used to go on a mission, I think, and then they all get stuck. And then they get Jason Statham to help. And then they find out that it's the big giant shark is causing chaos in some way or another. So it's daft and it's ridiculous, but unfortunately, it's not really fun. I think it would have been better in a group of people having a few drinks, that kind of film, where you can all point and laugh at it and be like, hey, look at the giant shark kill that man. I didn't think it was a very good viewing experience for me.
I went into it thinking it was going to be a bit of a rubbish film. So I saw the adverts, and the advert trailer was Jack. And number two, it's Jason Statham film, and it's action and Fast and Furious. That's not really for me. But I actually really enjoyed this film. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think the story was that bad either, to be honest.
Very by the books. There wasn't anything.
No, I'm not saying it was anything complete, like anything, new. I'm not saying it reinvented.
No, of course, but it needed to be more fun. I think it was. If it clearly took itself a bit too seriously.
I can see that. There were definitely parts where maybe it was a little bit too serious, and there was moments for it to like breathe a little bit more. I can see that, but overall, I thought it was an alright film.
It's got some horrendous CGI as well.
Oh, really?
I don't know how CGI is somehow getting worse with every year, but it just feels like it is.
It's such a common issue with shark films. It's almost like CGI is not given the budget it needs, and it's an afterthought. And you'd think if you were going to do a shark film, your biggest budget would go on CGI.
I think the problem, because this film must have had a big budget as well.
130 to 178.
So that's double Deadpool. That's two Deadpools in this film. I think a lot of films these days over-rely on CGI. Like, you go back and watch Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park. Still looks great because, yes, it uses some CGI, but it mixes it in with the puppetry and with the animatronics.
Yes.
Practical effects can go a long way.
And that works.
Practical effects look great.
Going with practical effects on shark films isn't necessarily, the go-to, because of course Jaws had problems there.
Hey, yeah, good point.
There you go.
Hey!
If you're making, sharks but bigger, that proves even more difficult because megalodons are huge. So trying to make a massive shark,
you could definitely do that.
I'd say you could get away with it. There are definitely workarounds for it. It's disappointing to hear that this film isn't that good because, of course, it's directed by John Turteltaub. I think that's how you pronounce it. Of course, he did the National Treasure films. I love the National Treasure
So
film.
much.
Jesus Christ.
Where's Nick Cage? He should just be the lead.
Exactly.
Who needs Jason Statham?
Nick Cage is the Meg.
Yeah.
National Treasure Meg crossover, buried treasure, and he fights a big megalodon. Boom.
The Meg is not fun, and it really should be fun. I want to see Jason Statham riding the megalodon or whatever it's
But that's
called.
just silly.
Yeah,
Yes.
it should embrace silliness. It should be like that.
So we've had the Meg, not a particularly serious or that great of a shark film, possibly. We've had Shark Tale for little kids, you know, not really a sharky film. And then we've had 47 Meters Down, a proper shark film. Well, now we've got another proper shark film. Survival, beaches, Blake Lively. I'm talking about The Shallows. And what a premise this film has. So, obviously, it's about shark, right? Blake Lively is not the shark. Blake Lively is a woman.
Would have been better if she was the shark.
She's called Nancy. There you go. Very memorable protagonist. The plot is she gets attacked by a shark and she gets a little gash on her leg, and so she's stuck like 50 meters from the beach on this rock, and she's got to survive. She's got to beat the shark. I went and saw it at the cinema, and I will tell you, this is one of the best cinema experiences I've ever had in my life.
Really?
That's a statement.
So good. I think I watched it 2 or 3 times in the cinema. Film keeps you on the edge of your I was going to say on the edge of your feet, on the edge of your seat all the way throughout. Very suspenseful, a likable protagonist who does undergo some change. I think she does have a character arc. Blake Lively is a fantastic performer. She holds this film together because there's no other characters in it really, nobody notable other than her. But she anchors this performance with only a seagull to talk to, basically.
So she's 50 meters away from the beach, but literally like 5 meters away from her, 10 meters, is a gigantic dead whale.
There is a big dead whale that she sort of swims near, and she's like, whoa, and then she gets attacked by a shark. I think being in the whale blood may precipitate shark relatedness. This film's got quite a good kill count. I think 3 or 4 people get eaten on screen, which is cool. It's not the most realistic film I've made, you know, particularly the ending. I won't spoil the ending.
No.
The way she combats this shark is ridiculous, but you know, I think it's grounded enough that it works. She does go on a character journey. She's gone to this beach because it's where her mum went when she was pregnant with her. Her mum has since passed away because of cancer. She's got a bit of a broken relationship with her father. She's dropped out of medical school and she's running away from that. And amazingly, that does play into the plot. It's very important because she has to patch up her leg and stuff. I think it's a very tight film, very tense. The CGI shark isn't horrendously looking. Watching this in the cinema is a much better experience than watching this at home. With the sound design and everything, it definitely... honestly, I was on the edge of my seat the whole film. I didn't think I could make it. It was great watching it with my friends. We had an amazing time. But rewatching it this time, my estimation of it, I thought this was a 9 out of 10 film. It's probably close to a 7.5, 8. I will say, for me, it is the best shark movie since Jaws.
There's not much competition, so I guess kind of right.
Any more thoughts on The Shallows?
So
Yeah,
I didn't think I don't think it's like an amazing film. I don't think it's a bad film either. I think it's a kind of meh film. There's a lot of like plot holes, like
Is
and
there?
things that don't make sense.
No, come on.
I don't want to ruin the ending, but plot hole, like logistic wise, that just wouldn't be able to happen.
It's not so much as of a plot hole as it's just physically impossible.
Yeah, so that makes it a plot hole, surely.
Well,
Not reason she gets.
No.
Tomato.
It looks decent.
It's better than the Meg. It's better than Shark Tale. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, the director's gone on to do a bunch of stuff, hasn't he? Like I've just had a look at his wiki page.
Oh yeah.
And, what did he do? He did that film Orphan. Do you remember that?
Oh, we must have done that first.
Yeah, that was 2009. He did Non-Stop, which is the Liam Neeson film about him on a
Commuter and
Oh,
Unknown.
Yeah, and Unknown.
All the Liam Neeson action films.
And now he's doing Jungle Cruise and Black Adam. So
It's all
working
non-stop.
his way up.
He's got a great career.
I mean,
It's
I
all.
don't know about great.
It's
I
on
mean,
and up.
it's continuous.
He's got work.
He
you
did
know.
well.
Bang average Liam Neeson action film.
That's the end of this little episode for you. One of my most anticipated little Shark Weeks for you all. Hopefully we've given you a little bit of food for thought, or some may say some shark bait for you all.
Well, hey.
And we'll see you on Wednesday for the Shark Week special quiz.
Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
It was quite tight at the bottom with a total of 6 points.
Nobody make a joke about that. Come on, it's a clean show. It's a family show.
We had